I'm Dana Foster, and you're watching Sun Valley News. I hope you're having a great day, and we're here just to tell you about a new workshop that is going to be available online. Restorative Justice Zoom Circle. That's what it's all about. Lillooet Learn is inviting you to a Zoom circle happening tomorrow night, and it's all about restorative justice. Now we have, is it Marco? Am I saying it correctly?
Mariko.
Michael. Cage.
Kage, actually.
Okay, I completely butchered that. So I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us all about what this restorative justice workshop is all about.
Thank you. So thank you for your introduction. My name is Mariko Kage. I'm originally from Japan. I've been living in the Stallion territory for the last 19 years. I have 4 of my boys are indigenous, and I've been living in Lillooet now. This is my 13th year, and I've belonged to the Lillooet Learning Community Society that has been going on for over 12 or maybe nearly 12 years. And over the last 10 years, we've had a restorative justice program spearheaded by Sarah Chandler, who has much experience with human rights training, and she trains trainers all over the world. We've been really fortunate to have Sarah Chandler in Lillooet for as long as we have. I've been involved with the board as a director with Lillooet Learns off and on for about 9 years since about 2000. Since the time I moved, so maybe around 2009. Although we've had this restorative justice program, and we also have a group of trained restorative circle trainers, facilitators that have been trained, and so while we have this program, we felt that what was really maybe missing in the community is the awareness and education and the familiarity. Restorative justice is still not really exactly a household word. Discussion. So as a committee, as a board, we decided to see if maybe we can do a, why don't we do a Zoom circle and just chat about restorative justice. So that's what we started talking about back in December. And it was actually Linda Sampson, one of our newer board members, who bring a lot of her expertise in education. And so she actually was the one that brought me the idea. And when she mentioned it, I said, I want to do that with you.
Yeah. I did watch the video that you sent to me, and an amazing story about how I guess he would have been a car robber, a car thief, was restored, and through that little story about him being an artist and painting a Tinkerbell painting, it was amazing to listen to that story, and we'll be sure to share that video as well on our news page as well. What inspires you about restorative justice for those that may not know too much about it?
To be honest, as a child, I had some relatives back in Montreal, and I remember my mother telling me, my mother's a social worker, and she told me that her sister-in-law mother, her name was Bluebell Phillips. I remember hearing about Nana Bluebells started this project with prisoners that they will do community service instead of just spending time in jail. And as a child, maybe I was about 10 or 11, maybe 12 at the most, I still remember that distinctly. It just really stuck in my mind. And of course, years later, I never heard of anything about restorative justice until I really came to Lillooet, actually. So decades and decades later. But when I took the training a couple of years ago to become a to get introduced to the facilitation for restorative justice circle, I learned that it's based on the indigenous model of conflict resolution and how they solve difficulties in a community, and based on indigenous wisdoms and teachings of the circle. And you probably heard of the medicine wheel or the circle, and the concept that we're all connected, that it's not you against I, it's we and us are one, and we can work on this together. So I know it sounds really simplistic, but really it's inspired the restorative justice from my best understanding, and I'm not an expert. I started this Zoom circle because I wanted to refresh, learn, and get to be more familiar with it. But there's so many wonderful videos out there now with the surge of internet, of course. So that's also something that's available to the public.
So who is this Zoom program for? Is it for the whole community or just a specific type of group?
No, it's absolutely open to anyone and everyone who's willing, with an open mind, to learn about the alternate to the criminal court system, the punitive method of solving charges and dealing with offenses. So anyone who's curious, you don't have to know anything about restorative justice. We are very basic. We wanted to really introduce people to the idea so that we can start thinking about what kind of rights do people have, that there are actually other ways of handling harm done, handling so-called victim and offender scenarios can actually be dealt in a different way, in a more holistic way, for lack of a better word, that involves a lot more time. Mm-hmm. It involves the willingness of both sides. So I can go into it later, but again, basically anyone who's curious, what the heck is restorative justice? Come and jump on. Come and jump on. We're doing some mock cases and also showing really short videos so we can start the discussion. That's really the main, I think, goal for us, is to raise awareness and to learn together.
So some people might disagree with this method, but what are your opinions on how this program truly does work for people that have gone through it?
Well, to be honest, I was in a restorative justice circle myself. And that was when I first moved from a very difficult situation in another town. And I was a single parent for 4 boys. And I'm actually also lived in Los Angeles prior to coming back to Canada. So I created a situation where I was speeding on the reservation chronically. Like I was zipping back and forth, taking the kids in and out of hockey programs, and you can imagine 4 boys in hockey, different schedules. And I was sort of, trying to manage getting my life started back again. But it came to the attention of the people in the reservation that there was a chronic speeder, and that was me. And, I had people come to my door and trying to tell me to slow down. And I guess I was just really still in a trauma mode, leaving my old community in a difficult situation. And there's no excuses, but they referred me to restorative justice. So it was a very humbling experience for me, because I never thought I would be, sort of labeled as a criminal, right? Like a chronic speeder. But I used to zip up and down, all the highways in Los Angeles. And I guess I was still sort of in that hectic mental state. With the support from community members and the people there, I was just really touched by the way they took the time to talk to me beforehand. And then they held a circle in a in a hall, community hall, and they expressed how concerned the members were that kids in bicycle could get hurt, or anyone could get hurt if I was, going above the speeding limit. And so, but I was there with a couple of people who were my supporters, and I end up doing some community service to help with an elders event and fundraiser. In the end, we came up with the way that I can repair the harm and rebuild the trust and heal the hurt. I've caused distress to people on the reservation, and it was a very humbling experience for me, but I didn't feel ashamed. Like it hurt, it was uncomfortable, but I also had this circle where we were all in this meeting together, face to face. It wasn't like someone in the front talking down, like in a classroom setting. It was a chair just set in a circle, with no tables in between us. And so I really realized, it really hit home for me that, my actions do affect other people, and I have to be more careful. So that was like 12 years ago.
Wow.
It's quite a while ago. Since then, I've also sat in a circle to support a young person who had offended and actually committed arson and lighted up some signs or billboard in the community with another teen, and I was asked to sit there to support the teenager in the neighborhood. And so that's when I kind of had a role reversal, where I also got to see how a circle is held, for me as a supporter. So that's another beauty of the Restorative Justice Circle, is that you have the person who harmed, and we don't use the term victim and offender. We use the word person who harmed and the person who was harmed. Okay. And then we have supporters. So anyone that the person would like to have join in the circle are all there. And then you have usually a facilitator and a co-facilitator. And often there's also a neutral party that will be present. It could be a community representative, it could be counselor, social worker, even a police officer could be there, as not as an officer per se, but as someone who is like, he's not there to enforce the law. He's there, he will be there more as a witness and as a mentor to both parties. And so each circle is unique, and I think one of the things is that it does take more time and effort.
So this is actually the second Zoom circle. Is this going to be continuing on from this? Is it going to be a continuous Zoom circle, or is it just a few meetings?
Actually, this is our third circle.
Okay.
We had the first one in December, and then the second one in January. And so this is coming tomorrow night. We will be completing our mock demonstration, a mock case that will be demonstrating how we just described how the circle begins. And we provide a PowerPoint of the seating plan so people can visualize who's sitting how and who they are. And then tomorrow night, we're going to complete the process, meaning what would it look to come up with an agreement that everyone will feel that it's fair. And so we already have plans for next month. I'm really excited. I actually have a fourth-year university student who is actually specializing in restorative justice studies for her thesis. And we've invited her to do her presentation of what she's been researching, and then we'll be dialoguing it with questions and discussions and answers.
Okay.
And we have some other people that came on to our previous two Zooms that have some background in working with restorative justice method and projects in other settings like schools. So I'm in the process of, I love networking. It's just so exciting when dots start to connect and people with similar interests and common values and passions can share resources and come together. So we have a pretty solid plan up to June, and then we're going to take a break in the summer, and then we will resume again in September. So the Lillooet Learning Communities Society as a board will be sort of collectively supporting this initiative, and it's all volunteers, and we're just excited to gather.
Okay.
And
so is there going to, if people had missed the first 2 group meetings, can they still attend this last one that's going to be happening tomorrow?
Absolutely, just jump on.
Okay.
We have videos almost every session.
Okay.
And we can also share links of the videos that they might have missed, and anyone who'd like to, they can just come on board and ask us if,
Okay, great. Now, if anybody wants more information about the Zoom circle that's going to be happening, or more information about restorative justice, where can they either contact you or get more information?
Well, we have the notice posted in the in our local Lillooet sites. There's a few Facebook pages. We don't have our own Lillooet Learns Facebook page, but we have Lillooet Community Events. We have Lillooet Volunteer Connect. We also have a site called Only Lillooet. I've posted the notice and the link in all of those sites. And so anyone's welcome to message me personally, or they could just look for Mariko Kage and shoot me a personal message, or come and join us tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sun Valley News.
Thank you very much for inviting me.